They called her the horse whisperer of Helena County. Lydia Monroe wasn't famous. She didn't post selfies or give interviews. But to the animals no one else wanted, she was everything. A healer, a friend, a second chance. She had spent nearly a decade transforming her rural Montana ranch into a sanctuary, a place where broken horses could learn to trust again. But on the morning of January 7, 2024, something went horribly wrong. Deputies responded to a call about a loose horse wandering the snow-covered highway. But what they discovered at Lydia's ranch, Wind Light Acres, would haunt them forever. She hadn't just fallen. She hadn't just been injured. She had been killed, crushed, trampled by the very animals she devoted her life to saving. And the most disturbing part? The signs were there all along. Ignored, dismissed, forgotten. Today, we unravel the tragic story of Lydia Monroe and how her compassion, as powerful as it was, became the thing that ultimately consumed her. Subscribe our channel and press bell icon for more unravel stories. Lydia wasn't born into ranch life. In fact, she was a retired schoolteacher, a widow, a mother who once had it all until she didn't. In 2009, her only daughter, Claire, was killed in a car accident just outside of Bozeman. And Lydia never recovered. At least, not in the way most people do. She sold her home, left the city, and bought a 40-acre property in the quiet hills of Helena County. There, surrounded by open skies and silence, she began her mission to save animals others had given up on. It started with one emaciated mare from a feedlot auction, then a crippled gelding with whip scars, then 2 more seized from an abusive breeder. Within 5 years, Lydia was caring for over 30 horses, each with their own wounds, each with their own ghosts. But Lydia didn't just care for them. She believed she could heal them. She believed love was enough. Even when the cracks began to show, neighbors say they first started noticing problems in 2022. Strange noises from the barn, horses kicking violently at the stalls, fencing torn apart during the night. One local delivery man said he was nearly knocked over by a stallion that had escaped the front pasture. Lydia brushed it off.
"He's just scared," she'd say.
"Give him time." And when people offered help, she politely declined. A farrier who came once never returned. He later told a friend, those horses weren't just difficult. They were dangerous. And she had no control. Lydia began showing up in public with bruises. One day, her left arm in a sling. Another time limping. But she always had an excuse. "I slipped on the ice." He got spooked. "They don't mean to hurt me." And maybe they didn't. But what Lydia refused to see, or maybe just couldn't admit, was that love alone couldn't fix what trauma had hardened. These weren't pets. They were survivors. And survivors will always protect themselves first. By winter of 2023, Helena County had plunged into a brutal cold snap. Temperatures dropped below zero for days at a time. And Lydia was on her own. No ranch hands. No volunteers. No family nearby. She was feeding over 24 horses twice a day, breaking frozen water buckets, dragging hay bales through snowbanks nearly waist deep. Her truck hadn't moved in days. Neighbors noticed lights in the barn on at all hours and loud, panicked whinnies echoing into the night. Then the Facebook post. It was short, strange, and chilling. "They're scared.
So am I.
But I won't leave them, even if it kills me." It was the last thing Lydia Monroe would ever share with the world. It was just after 6 a.m. on January 7, 2024. The snow was still falling when a neighbor spotted a half-wild horse staggering near the road, ribs visible, hooves cracked and bleeding. It wasn't wearing a halter. It had blood on its chest. The call to 911 was brief but urgent. "Something's wrong at Wind Light Acres." When deputies arrived, the front gate was hanging off its hinges. The main barn was eerily quiet. No sounds of feeding. No hiterum. No footsteps. Just the soft crunch of snow and a scent no one could quite place. Then they saw the broken boards. Splintered. Shattered. kicked out from the inside. And under those boards lay Lydia Monroe. She had been trampled. Her face was frozen in panic. Her hands were still clutching a feed bucket. Her chest cavity collapsed. Her spine cracked. Her boot torn off and found 10 feet away. Blood had soaked into the straw beneath her and all around her, hoof prints. Frenzied.
Wild. Chaotic.
It wasn't one horse. It was all of them. The coroner ruled her death as massive blunt force trauma, sustained from multiple, repeated strikes by large hooves. But the autopsy report held something darker. Defensive wounds on her arms. A broken finger, likely from trying to shield herself. And a fractured jaw. She had been awake. She had fought. She had screamed. But in that barn, surrounded by a herd she had once saved, no one heard her cries. Animal control seized all 29 remaining horses. 3 were so aggressive, they were euthanized on sight. Others were emaciated, malnourished, scarred from what experts later described as extreme dominance-based fighting. Some had open wounds, not from humans but from each other. Lydia's sanctuary had become a war zone. A chaotic, unsupervised herd of trauma-bonded animals with no hierarchy, no training, no control, and no one left to lead them. In the weeks that followed, the headlines softened her story. Beloved Horse Rescue diesen Tages Akzident. But this was no accident. It was preventable. The warning signs were clear. The cries for help were there, even if she never spoke them out loud. Lydia Monroe died trying to do good. She gave everything, her money, her time, her strength, to the ones no one else would save. But, in the end, they gave her back only silence.